Good evening, everybody. Adam Steele from Hot Pole Studios here, and welcome to part 9 of this Epic Metal Mixing series. We're getting close to the end now, and since the last stream, I managed to go and see John Brown, and he has a wonderful system in his room with Amphion speakers and a big subwoofer. And we noticed a certain something that I hadn't picked out on any other system with the previous song that we did, We Are the Drow. And it's not something that's an absolute deal breaker, but it was definitely something that we needed to look at a bit if we wanted to make it so that the song was a lot more percussive in the low end. Because I think it's somewhere in the like 30 or 40 hertz region, the low end was just going. So let's change to our screen capture scene. This is a whole different setup for me from last time. I actually have my camera going into a Blackmagic capture card in the new editing machine. So I'm doing all of this on one machine now. So if anything goes wrong, it's teething troubles. So we'll see what that goes. What do I think about the Amphions? I think they sound fantastic. I'm not a big fan of the sound. The guitars by default sound a little too far back for my liking, but they're not bad at all. They're just not the sound I like. But I could learn to like them. But as far as speakers go, they're incredible, and they cost enough that they should be incredible. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, if I play you a little bit of this, I don't know if you guys listening at home are listening on headphones or have subwoofers, but I'm going to play you a little bit of the track. Try and listen for the ultra low end and see if you can hear it with a kind of an odd thing, and then I'll show you what I mean. So yeah, it mostly sounds good. If I switch my monitoring system here to one with lots and lots of bass, that is the club with lots of bass. Let's see how that handles it. Yeah, so it sounds good. Hello, Scott. Yes, but it sounds good, but the ultra low end is just it's too solid is the way I would describe it. So what we need to do is find out what has caused that, and it's either going to be the kick or it's going to be the bass. So I've switched my monitoring back to normal, and I'll do some investigating. I think I've already found this out, but I'm going to show you how I arrived to where I got to. So first thing I'm going to do is solo the kick. And I'm going to bring up a copy of the ReQ, which is a free JS. Oh, hello in chat. Reaper user because of me and Kenny. Cool. But yeah, this is a JS plugin that you can get for free that you can add to Reaper. I'm sure I've done a video on this separately. And if I hit play on the kick, I can hold down the shift key on this and it will play back just that frequency range. So let's try that. Now, it does seem like there's a little bit of ultra sub stuff going on. I do have bass mint going on the kick, and that's definitely saturating the low end. It has the anti-rumble feature, which is sharply filtering below 30 hertz. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to do this myself. But yeah, this is the kick, but this isn't where I found most of the problem. But what we'll do is we'll add a very steep filter, and I'm going to bring this up, to around 40 hertz, and we'll see if that fixes this. And off. Now, it seems cleaner to me, but it definitely has lost something. So I'm going to turn up the strength on the basement so that we get more saturation in that kind of 60, 80 hertz region. Try that. And we've been doing the cardinal sin of working in solo. So I'm going to now unsolo this. Solo is good when you're doing things like this, where you're specifically looking for a problem that you know is there, but you need to isolate the problem. So let's get back out of solo. There we go. So because I've turned down the clarity in basement, the clarity knob takes some 400 hertz out of a signal, but also adds some high end. Because I backed that off, I lost the high end of the kick. So I just added a little bit back in here on this REEQ, which comes afterwards. Now that sounds better, but I can still hear a rumble in the low end, and that must be on the bass. Let's solo the bass. Now there's already an REQ on here, so I can just solo this and... Yep, that's got absolutely just a solid with no definition whatsoever on the bottom there. So what I want to do is similar to what I did. I'm going to use the Butterworth low cut because it's got a much more distinct slope on here, and I'm going to get rid of everything below probably about 40 hertz. And I'm also going to bring in track spacer, where before I had track spacer kind of controlling from 60 hertz to 400-ish. I'm going to change what I want track spacer to do because I did bypass it in the end. And I'm going to use it only as a super low end controller. So that should now, if I hit play and turn this on, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Between track spacer is getting its signal from the kick, so now the bass will pulse opposite the kick, but not heavily like a sidechain compressor kind of way. It's only affecting the super low end. And if I go back to the bass mint that is on the bass, I can probably now saturate the low end more because I'm removing everything below this 40 hertz. So let's unsolo this and see if this has done the trick. Right. What I think the other thing is that's happening is that sounds better to me. But the last thing is, if I look at the channel strip for the bass, I'm using compression and it's taking a good 10 dB off. Let's just try it isolated again. There we go. Now what I've done there is I've reduced the amount of compression by taking down the threshold. I've made the release a lot faster, so we've not just got a constant line of bass. And I've taken the ratio down a little as well. So basically just everything less. And hopefully you can hear, you'll have seen this little meter here went from 10 dB of compression to 3. It doesn't sound any quieter because this threshold on an SSL is linked to the amount of makeup gain. So by turning the amount of compression down, it's also kind of sorted the makeup gain out, so it sounds about right. But that was already a really solid bass line to begin with. So let's hear this in context, see if the volume of it is right. There we go. So it's a bit less full on in the low end, but it sounds a bit more dynamic in the low end too. And when we get to the mastering phase, and I believe this is being sent off to a separate mastering engineer, if they've got a more dynamic low end, they can choose to mold that how they wish. If it's just straight flat, then they won't get that choice. Now I will have to remember this setup for the other songs when I go back and revisit them, because if that was a problem here, it's probably a problem on the other tracks too. So I just need to keep that in mind, go back and fix that before the mixes go out. What I have a list of improvements that Mr. SkyeAsylum would like. So one of them was, can the tom hits during the chorus / Alexa part have more volume or punch? Let's just see about having the toms just more all the time. Also, the 16th ride bell hits. Can we boost them a bit? It's this tribute to 80s metal. Yes. Now, that was on the We Are the Drow. And we can actually see those sections because of the... what do you call it? Come on, brain. It seems at some point I've accidentally split all these as well. So I'll just unsplit that now so we don't have an audio dip by crossfading them slightly. And... yeah, so the ride has these big... I'll bet that's it. Yeah. So the first thing I've done is just back off the range and the threshold on the expander on the ride channel there, which just lets it breathe a little more. And secondly, I'm going to hit V for volume, and I'm going to bring these up by a good few dB. And same on the second time. And that should do it. Now let's listen to that in context. Context is the most important thing. Okay, it says at the end of the first verse where John does that long drow thing, there's something in the really low end that has a gargling sound. But I think that could have been the issue that we were talking about at the very start of the stream. Yeah, because it's not that, because the vocal group and all the separate vocal... Thank you. All the separate vocal parts are all quite well crafted in the low end and scooped. Hello! Right. SkyeAsylum, hello, you're here. Perfect timing, because I've just made all the mix change suggestions and also done a thing that me and Brown noticed, which was that the super low end was a little out of control, but we could only hear it on his ridiculously big subsystem. And I'm sure the mastering engineer will thank us for fixing that. So, yeah, let's listen to this whole thing through and then go.
Manipulation, seduction. The surface, our enemy. The Underdark we roam. Curator of slaves. Welcome to your new home. We understand one way. Take your souls as slaves. Drift above the rain. We are the tribe. False gods have claimed there is one to reach. The drift above the rain. We are the tribe. We are the tribe.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I'm happy with that. Let's move on. Stephen in chat says, how do you use the Stephen Slate plugin? Now, which Stephen Slate plugin do you mean? Because I have about 10 of them, and I use them all, and different contexts. I need to ask more specific questions than that, my man. Because it could be, how do you use the headphones? It could be, how do you use Virtual Mix Rack, which equates to asking, how do you mix, which is the whole purpose of this entire series, and that there is no one answer and nothing that fits in one easy sentence. Very much depends on where that line of questioning goes. Now I'm going to see if I can connect wirelessly to my camera, because this is something I've been discovering this week, is that this camera I've got up here, I can change things on it, like the white balance. Oh, hello. I can make it go black. Oh dear, there we go, it's back. So one thing I can do is focus on my face. Autofocus, there we go. Another thing that I can do is, oh, not that. Let's change the white balance, because the white balance is currently very, oh, that's way too blue. There we go, that looks about right, I think. On the sunny setting, which is weird, but okay. So, that's now uploading. Good. So, save. And I need to make some notes very quickly. So I need, so bass, filter 40 hertz, just change basement, and track spacer on subs, kick, filter, and what did I filter at? What was my point? 35 hertz, but with a 48 dB non-Butterworth, and the rest of it I'll be able to do by feel, but they're the main two things that I need to make a note of there. So I can now go on to the Underdark, which is the one that we were working on, but I'll probably go to the other tracks like Everything and Kingdom and do similar things with the low end to make sure that that's nice and dynamic and not failing the car test, so to speak. It's funny, those problem frequencies that we had were so low down that I did the car test and it passed with flying colours, because my car can't reproduce frequencies that low. It's actually got quite a nice full sounding system in my car, but yeah, it goes for fullness rather than actual bass extension. So let's see where we got to with the Underdark. I think we got to the point, yeah, we added in the guitars and, oh, ear profile. How do you use it? Leave it on 1. That's how you use it. Unless you've got problems, in which case, change it to 2. I like to mix on the Archon midfield, which is what I'm going to do today. And then I leave it. Don't overthink it. Don't try and change it. The more you change it, the more it won't work for you, because it's supposed to be a fixed system. There you go. Let's listen to this and see how this song goes. It looks like nothing happens up until about here. cool. This song is the one that's kind of bananas. So let's start with putting song parts in that correlate to track names that I already have. See if these kind of work. So I've got whispers here. Cool. Those are really nice. They sound like they're probably going to be a bit loud over the top of everything else. Right, so I've got we are. What's in that group? That's not a group, that's fine. So I've got PC vocals and pre-chorus, chorus. I'm going to start with the chorus vocals then, because I've got a big block for chorus vocals. And so let's just drop all these chorus vocals in on single tracks and make sure they're on the right place. Looks like I need to duplicate a track just so I can have all the settings the same and move that up there. So I'm just going to clean out the blank on these and see how this sounds. Cool. Don't know why these two are so particularly loud, and I'll make sure that one's off to the other side.
I call fire, the power from my hands. Death desire calls, burning like a man. I command. I call fire, the power from my hands. Death desire calls, burning like a man. I command. I call fire from my hands. Death desire calls.
There we go. There's a particularly high vocal which I want to sit more in this group.
I call fire, the power from my hands. Death desire calls, burning like a man. I command.
There we go. I've had to turn that high vocal down, but by letting its kind of 1.4K around their frequency come up, it pokes out the mix now, which gives it a little bit of space. So let's call that high, just so I know what it is. Right, so that was the chorus vocal. Oh, there were a couple more. Oops. Right. Let's just duplicate these a couple of times. That's kind of my fault because the original numbering scheme and the numbering scheme that we had when we reamped the rev in the previous session kind of overlap. So it read like the vocals ended and then it was the rev guitars, when in fact they kind of crisscross. And that is not the case. So I've got one left, one right, and one that I'm going to micro shift in the middle. And these are now going to be probably far too loud, so let's bring them down.
The power from my hands. Death desire calls, burning thy command. I command.
Yeah, now we're talking. Now I've got a verse vocal that is a single vocal, which is interesting. I've got ones up there that are marked as John. It's almost just about management at this point. What's on here? I've got a decapitator, microshift. Right, that needs to go. Let's just hear this first vocal and see what we need to do to it. Right, okay, so I'm going to do something a bit weird. I'm going to duplicate the entire chorus group and then just delete everything out of it apart from one single track and move the verse up in there, because I know that that first verse channel, I know these have all got weird numbers on them and I might trim these out at some point, but I know this should be fairly compressed, fairly controlled.
From the north travel iron seas, the assassin's tanks scorch the earth just to find me. On a mission paid in gold, deliver the sentence I have known, so come after me. Come after me.
I'm getting distracted, but there's that low end bass problem again. I'm just going to loop this little bit while we look at the mix on the bass and just fix that. So I'm going to... Oh, that needs tidying up. Hello, buddy. And... that's why you've got to be super tight with your bass edits, because it doesn't sound like there's much going on, but as soon as you put drive on there, there you go. So yeah, I'm just gonna loop round this one a second while we sort the bass out. Let's get this butter with low cut. There we go. Get the console on the screen. Less dynamics, faster release, less threshold. That's already hitting harder, which is a good start. Let's get basement and actually turn that up. Well, I wouldn't worry about sucking at bass, because it's just a whole thing, bass playing, and it is my thing. I am a bass player, but it's more of an editing thing. When it looks quiet, don't assume it's quiet. Actually, just cut it, even if it looks silent. If there's supposed to be a silent bit, just kill it with fire. Guarantee yourself no problems in future. That's the way I see it. It's not about competence at all. It's about just belt and braces technique. There we go. That's much more controlled. There we go. And same there. It's a general good rule with any instrument, especially on particularly heavy high gain music, where if you see a section of something that looks like it's silent, cut it. Because then you've guaranteed yourself that there's no clank and rattle and bang and extra noise. Oh yeah, chorus on bass is amazing. But I'm not actually using chorus. I'm using micro shift, which is similar to chorus, but it's based on. It's based on the old Eventide units, which kind of pitch shifted slightly on either side, which means you don't get the movement thing that you get on chorus. It just has that slight detune thing differently on each side, which makes it sound huge and makes it sit in a heavy mix better. Although it's always good to have an automation ready to turn that off if you suddenly find that the bass is kind of exposed and there's no heavy guitars or anything covering it, because it sounds kind of weird when it's on its own. But there's nothing wrong with just bypass. Cool. So I've not quite got all of my tracks in yet. I need to get a big bank of pre-chorus vocals in, which I'm going to put on this lot that says stack 2. How many have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate these and make these... I mean, these names make no sense, so I'm just going to delete the names out, and hopefully Reaper will do the magic when I drop new files in and populate those. Firstly, I need to put them snap on. There we go. And drop them on separate tracks. There we go. And now it's given them names that are much more close to what I was hoping, which make more sense. Thought you were watching Lady Gaga. Yeah, I mean, I've been told I look like her before.
To me, come after me. I call fire, the power from my hands. Death desire calls, burning like a man. I command.
Hello. Welcome. Make yourselves at home. I think the chorus vocal is a little loud. Actually, I think the verse vocal is a little loud too, just because it means that the instruments tend to get lost a little.
I call fire, the power from my hands. Death desire calls, burning like a man. I
Yeah, we're getting a little bit more of that feature out on the stuttery guitars. Yes, please. Turn snap off. And just push that up by a couple of dB. Right, what have I not got in yet? Let's have a look. Got pre-chorus, I've got chorus. I have not got outro vox, monster voice, Brett. This is going to be interesting. And we've got Brett processed vocals too. So let's just get outro vocals and monster voice in. I might stick those under that chorus. I've got all this John stuff, which is probably going to be Brett. Yeah, so I'm going to do that. And then I've got You Will. So I can just delete the names out of that and duplicate these two and drop 6 channels of Brett in. Make sure that that's all right. There we go. And let's see what that sounds like. Oh, accidentally moving things around. Well done.
Let's go!
That sounds brutal, but just very, very loud.
Let's go!
Let's take each one of these tracks down by just shift clicking. And at that point, that isn't loud enough, so that's fine, that can go up. That sounds like it is generally too loud compared to the music. That You Will need. Oh, no. Don't want to be adding in a minus 37 dB thing there. No more John for the rest of the record. Oh, well. Oh, wow. His character, he did. Right. So, I've got 5 tracks of You Will. So I can duplicate that one to give me 5 tracks. Take the names out. Oh no, I already had 5. Thank you very much for your service. Now be gone. Now, let's not drop these in just yet. Let's zoom out so we can see what's going on. Make sure snap is on. And there we go. I know this seems like it's taking more time than if I just dropped in every wave file just in one big go, but this is something I like to do methodically because it kind of unfolds the track for me bit by bit. It's like if I had the whole thing on an analog tape, I would mute every track and then slowly bring in elements one by one by one. This is just a similar thing. Right, so awesome. That bass is really coming through now. So I've got outro vocals, monster voice, and right. So I'm just gonna duplicate the verse vocal twice, outro and monster, and I'm gonna bring those in there for now, just so I've got somewhere to put them in. If they need stylistically to move or change, I can do that. Now I'm expecting the outro one not to come until later. And monster, start the song.
It's only just a girl. It's only just.
Okay. That sounds really kind of stuffy in the low mid, so I'm going to take some of that out.
It's only just a girl. It's only just a girl. It's only just a girl.
That needs micro shift. It doesn't sound right in mono. Micro shift doesn't need much of it, but
it's only just a girl.
There we go.
It's only just a girl.
Cool. And the outro vocals.
I really like it when I get mad. Out of control. Violent. Look back at me with your cold, dead eyes. And you said it's only a girl.
Okay.
I really like it when I get mad. Out of control. Violent. Look back at me with your cold, dead eyes. And you said it's only a girl.
Okay, and I've got... Yeah, this song has some real changes of pace. I want to play the whole thing. You may be really shocked. Okay, so I've got a processed vocal going in here. Let's put that in the Brett group and see if it belongs in there or if it doesn't. Let's go! Yeah, that sounds cool. He can stay. What reverb did I apply to the outro Vox? Okay, so they're being sent to my usual reverb, I'm pretty sure. Outro is being sent through two. It's being sent through my room reverb and through a plate delay. Evening, everybody. So it's being sent through the Verb Suite Classics room reverb, the Bricasti Studio B Close, which sounds like this. Which is quite short, puts it in a space, and then the plate reverb's the real star of the show.
I really like it when I get mad. Out of control. Violent.
Although I am considering using some automation to turn that off at the end, but we'll see how it feels, because it's very aesthetic. So I think I've got every element in now. So this song is now, this is where I start to automate. Where's the first part of it? Okay, so the first part of it's actually quite a way in. So there we go. Let's listen to this from the start.
It's only just a girl.
violent. Look back at me with your cold, dead eyes. And you said it's only a girl.
Cool. I'm guessing that one's kind of going to fade out. Certainly seems that way. But yeah, the snare disappears at a certain point in the song there. We know about that. There is something missing there. We'll fix that.
Look back at me with your cold, dead eyes. And you said it's only a girl.
Okay, I'm going to fade that out at the same time.
You said it's only a girl.
Might be a bit soon to do that. It seems like it drops out a little fast.
You said it's only a girl.
Okay, I'll set the point shape to be a bezier. I think that's what I want. Slow. I know I want set the point shapes to slow start and end. And same with this one. Set the points to slow start and end on the volume automation, so it slowly, so it much more slowly drops off.
You said it's only a girl.
Scott from Chernobyl stole the snare. Yeah. So let's have another listen from the top. And now that the levels are a bit better, the verse, the levels of the vocal were kind of backwards. It should have been more of the main vocal and less of that whisper. Let's try that now.
Travel iron seas, yes, essence tends scorch the earth just to find me. On a mission paid in gold, deliver the sentence I have known, so come after me. Come after me. I call. It's called silence.
That's sounding good. Now let's go from the start and just take hands off and just feel it out for a minute.
It's only just a girl.
Desire
violent. Look back at me with your cold, dead eyes. You said it's only a girl.
Cool. And that fades away and then blasts into the next song. And yes, so looking into the snare shoe on your end right now. Okay, cool. So I've got Oracle Falls left to do. I've got Mother left to do. And I've got, I think Mother looks like the biggest song yet to tackle. And there's, the largest song to tackle. So I'm going to do that. My rev has been warming up in the background. So at this point, this is now... If I Control A, select all the tracks, delete all the track stuff. Probably no trap beat in this one. No, there is not. And I'm going to leave everything else up just for the time being, whilst I start to open this one. So Mother is 150 BPM, so I'm going to change the tempo right now so that all my and I'm going to get rid of the region, all of my tempo adjustment and such, delays and all that kind of thing line up nicely. Now let's start with the drums. Now these are always a bit rough when we bring these in, because these let's start with bar 33 this time. Why not? These are in folders and organized in a certain way that I need to change things around to, and it's probably knowing Windows. Oh no, it's put number 1 as the trigger this time. Happy days. So these all need to be significantly less loud, apart from the trigger, which I think I want. Oh, I tried selecting you separately, you insolent fool. And so everything's in the right place up until snare 1, which goes down to this lot and go down. Ooh. This lot should go down to Tom's 1. Hats ride overheads should probably be a track further down. Why are you dragging automation points around with you? Rah! And these should be down here. Let's see how this sounds. Oh yeah, someone said about the previous song that the toms sounded monstrous. No samples on any of those, by the way. That is just a really nice EQing and treatment that we've done. Tom by tom, we've gone through and we've EQ'd each one to fit nicely. We're not even using the compressor and dynamics or filtering there. Then we're going through a group compressor where we are using a little bit of an expander. Yeah, not even a compressor, just an expander and quite a bit of a high frequency push. And then the real star of the show on the toms is Boz Labs Transgressor, which is giving us a nice big thump and scooping out the sustain. But not just turning the sustain down, it's specifically changing. Yeah, it's really adding some low end to the sustain on the toms and some top end to the sustain. It's very clever how it works. Right, let's see some toms. Yeah, they've been very aggressively gated, so let's give them loads of reverb. And hope that that's not an issue in the mix, because that's something I can't really bring back, is once something's been gated like that, that's kind of... That's how it is. You must be confused. So let's get the bass in on the bass group. Do we have... Right, we don't need any of this percussion stuff and what have you on this particular track. So away you go. And let's hear you. Right, so that's the end of the song, arguably. I've got an acoustic guitar, heavy guitars. Let's put all the heavy guitars in on their respective channels and separate tracks. Yes, please. You know the drill by now. Just make sure that these come in. Nice. They're definitely going to be reamped in a minute. There's a lot more tracks going on here. There's acoustic guitar. There's a bass drop. Of course, there's a bass drop. We need more tracks. More tracks. That can just be just a separate track for bass drop. These fish, they get heavy. Sometimes I do a bass drop. And that was the worst joke of the day. Ooh. Cool. Well, let's treat that bass drop now, because that's it's got too much top end on that bass drop, which means that it's a little transient. It'll sound more epic like this. There we go. Fake acoustic. That's a really good sounding fake acoustic. Wow. I'm really impressed with that. That sounds really good for a not real acoustic. Wow. Got emotional strings. Let's bring in strings 1 and strings 2. What am I even doing naming them when I can just drop the files in and Reaper is magic and just names them for me? So I've got that strings and that strings. Yep, typical fake strings, all the low mids, that needs to go. So I'm going to have 2 pianos as well. Then I'm going to quickly do another little cheat that you can do in Reaper, which is open up one of the older projects that we had in a separate project tab for the lead guitar setup that we had, because I liked that very much. And we're just going to essentially steal that. Auto naming, yeah. Yeah, auto naming. That if you got a track that's got nothing in the track name and you drop a file in there, it changes the name to suit the file name. Those are some very noisy tracks. What am I doing? It's 24-bit sampled though. Huh. Okay. Just make sure snap is off. Drop that in. Oh, those guitars are a lot. But yeah, let's do the reamping of them now by muting those two. Even before I look at the lead guitar, let's get these in. Let's turn on the rev, which has been on standby all this time. Oh, ow. That was painful. The headphone cord on here got caught and pulled at my head. Ow. Let's hear this. That'll be much better. Yes, definitely. Let's just change make sure the setup, yeah, is straight through on the ID software. All right, let's record this in. Yeah, that's one good side. And yeah, Marty noticed my t-shirt, which is one that he sent me. So thank you very much, Marty. It's a good t-shirt. It says your mix is whack. It's the Band Geek t-shirt. Thought I'd change the screen quickly and show people what I'm actually doing. That's the Rev Generator 120 Mark III up there. The one with the inbuilt load box and wonderful 2Notes software. So I'm using my beloved 2Notes stuff. I'm using my Big Beast cab in there. In fact, I'm just going to check that on my phone because Torpedo Remote allows me to Bluetooth into it and just check that. Let's just see. It's taking its sweet time, of course, because why wouldn't it? Poo Ninja says he liked Glenn's professional turd polisher t-shirt. Yeah. Okay, so connecting. Yep, there we go. So it's using the Hot Pole Studios Big Beast cab from 2Notes. With an SM57 and a Royer 101 ribbon. Pretty much equal. 57 slightly off center, of course. And relatively neutral settings. A little bit of the enhancer, but almost none. tiny bit of reverb, but almost none, no EQ. And that is the red channel with the blue aggression. I'll just move this down so you can see the blue light, the aggression up there. And the red channel with the cut on it, it seems to fit this album perfectly. That's what we arrived at a couple of sessions ago. So now I have a cable coming out of my Audient ID14 Mark II, going to that reamp box, straight into the Rev, and then an XLR out of the back of the Rev, because it's got its inbuilt load box, straight back to the Audient. And we get this. Cool. What you might have seen me doing there is the piano sounded wonderful, but the low mids on it were just kind of covering a lot of the mix. So I gently just used the SSL 9000 to scoop out what they determine is 450 hertz-ish. I was just kind of sweeping around for it. Because now that the guitars are starting to go in, I could hear the frequencies kind of clashing with each other. So I was making sure that that didn't become too much of a problem. Now let's do the other side of the guitars, and you should still hear that piano without it overbearing the mix. Yeah, that sounded rather nice by the end there. I was just getting, as I could hear the strings and the pianos coming in, they were just all fighting with each other. So I was making space in those areas. And same with these strings. Right, let's make these acoustic guitars really pop. First thing I want to do with the acoustic is a virtual tape machine from Slate. This does wonders on acoustic guitars. It just makes them zing in a way that is just so hard to replicate. The piano's got such an ungodly amount of hiss on it. Why? I think for this song, I might need a little bit of taming on the guitars just to let everything else fit a bit better. Ah, yes, lead guitar. Right, so I need to have a new project tab. And what do I have a lead guitar on? Pretty sure Kingdom has a lead guitar. So I'm very quickly going to load up the Kingdom, baby. Come on, today would be nice. There we go, it's a lot of channels. There. All right, so lead group, copy, mother. And paste it right there. There we go. Close Kingdom down and open this. Here we go. So those are not the lead guitars that I want. So let's drop in the right ones. And again, like we have with the other songs on this album, the lead guitars seem to have sounded really right. But let's see. If they don't, we have several amps handy. Oh, it's only on a little bit. Okay. Let's just clear that out then and see. Hang on. They sound the same and look the same, but something's gone wrong in my reamping because these are two very different DIs. Oh, you actual... Did I? The sound of the kick. Okay, so I'll come back to the sound of the kick in a minute. Sorry, I will. But what did I do? I think I recorded this the wrong side through the left. Okay, well let's just... The rev is still on, so let's just check that. They look distinctly different. I wonder how on earth I managed that. Okay, well let's re-record that bit in. There we go. So now let's just check this back. Bizarre that I missed that. What a wally. Okay. What was I doing? Yeah, so the lead guitar, that was way too bright. And too loud. So. Yeah, it's about finding that thing its space, but not deafening everybody. Okay, so let's talk about the kick for a second then. The kick is a few things. I get given 5 tracks by SkyeAsylum. 2 kick-ins, because it's 2 kick drums, 2 kick-outs. I decided early on in the process that I have just kind of muted the kick out mics as they weren't adding anything useful in this case. Just gonna do that with the thing. But the kick ins I have kept, and they give me a decent meaty thump thump bump, which is real and helps. I also got sent a trigger which I thought was very useful but didn't like the sound of, and that sounded like this. Which is very clean trigger, and that's fine. That helps me because then I can use my own trigger sounds using that as a very clean start. So in the end, I used two samples using Stephen Slate's trigger in that. One is drum shots from Billy Decker, which is the back road kick, and one is a Joel Wanasek kick with a lot more forward mid kind of. And those two together are blended in with the other parts to make this more real sound. That then feeds the effects on the kick group. So I've got, let's just go through them one by one. So the SSL channel provides a bit of mild compression, takes out below 25 hertz. Actually, honestly, that can probably go now, but that's because of something later. There's an expander on it to keep it clean, a little bit of a 1K push, and quite a bit of high frequency added, so we get a big slappy click. Actually, I'm just going to mute something else. This is what we get so far. Then we have my secret weapon, which is Boz Labs' Transgressor. This is a 3-band transient designer, which allows you to change the low, mid, and high frequencies, their attack and their sustain separately. So I can remove some sustain from the low end, but not have to negatively affect the mid and the high end. Ring on the kick, because I don't need to kill that. Add more thump on the low end, a bit more on the 200 hertz just to give it some meat to make it sit in the mix, and a little more at 5K to give it a more defined slap. Next trick is Unfiltered Audio's Bass Mint, which is saturating the low end something fierce and giving me a much solider, a much more solid low end. But that was causing problems on subwoofers, so I have a JS plugin from Reaper's REEQ, which is taking really steeply anything below 40 hertz away, and just adding a little bit around 90 hertz just to make up for it. So that now sounds massive. And the extra icing on the cake is this extra trigger here. This is the kick room. Now that trigger triggers this trigger. This is a sample from the Black Album, I believe, but it's only the room of the sound. It's not the whole drum sample, just the room. And that's got an EQ that's taking a gentle low end away and some low mid so that it just makes it sound bigger. And that in with the kick gives it a wide stereo thing. And that in with the rest of the kit. Massive. There we go. I've just taken quite a bit of high end out of the bass because I don't think this song needs that clanky high end. Unlike the more angry, aggressive songs about fights and murder, this sounds like it just doesn't need that extra clangy clang on the top of the bass. Looks like I don't need a great deal of these tracks on this song, which is a good start. It means I can clear a lot out for my own health, mental health.
September seas, dreams of the page, beauty divine.
Something's not right here.
September seas, dreams of the page, beauty divine, locked in this cage, withholding fire, a power too strong. Blue light ignites on each, beauty divine, locked in this cage, withholding fire, a power too strong. Blue light ignites, I know I don't belong.
There we go. Something that opera singers do that we're not a big fan of in the rock world is the big thing, because when that's on a stage, you don't actually hear that really, but on a microphone that's compressed, you do.
Travel this path, I walk to your end. Emotions denied, emotions denied, any chance to pretend. These thoughts divide, please take me home. North Ocean's cry, forever I roam.
Right, that sounds nice. There is some delay on there, but it's a good 15 dB down. Let's see if that fits in the mix well.
September seas, dreams of the page, beauty divine, locked in this cage, withholding fire, a power too strong. Blue light ignites, I know I don't belong.
Okay, so there's too much high end in the vocal in general. That's going to be on the channel. That can come down. Just because when the song kicks in, the song doesn't have that much high end, so we don't need the vocal to match it.
September seas, dreams of the page, beauty divine, locked in this cage.
let's just check that vocal further back down. I felt then it did need more high end, but super high end. It didn't need the kind of 8K to 10K thing.
September seas.
Yeah, there we go.
Dreams off the page.
Ah, that's what's going on. The vocal automation is all over the place. Let's just get rid of all these points from the previous songs. That should make life easier.
September seas. Dreams off the page. Beauty divine. Locked in this cage. Withholding fire. Power too strong. Blue light ignites. I know I don't belong. River sing, stormy birth, forever time, the pouring rain, solitude, could it be nothing more but forever right? The same shame made another way, whole of shame to die today, forbidden roar, I shall embrace the reckoning, too much to take. Have I gone too far? This is too much to take. Have I gone too far? River sing, stormy birth, forever time, the pouring rain, solitude, could it be nothing more but forever right? The same shame made another way, whole of shame to die today, forbidden roar, I shall embrace the reckoning, too much to take. Have I gone too far?
Sounding good. Let's get this chorus in. Chorus vocal. Let's delete all of you. Delete that and oh, not delete that. Don't need those two channels. Chorus. Let's put it in the right place and check before we hit play on our console. That could do with being higher. That could do with being there.
Don't belong. No goodbye, you're justified. The call that hate your alibi. I always knew your jealousy, your cyanide. I trusted you to be by my side. Predict, betrayed, I always knew the game of lies I understood from you. The soul of mine, surrender time, the poet's book exposed your lies. Have I gone too far? Walk to your end.
37 Foxtel's a little inhale at the end. Yeah.
No goodbye, you're justified. Forever.
They're not all bad. That one didn't seem particularly offensive. But yes, it is a new computer. I need to make the purple cursor thing happen again. This is a new machine. This is system free, 47 gigabytes out of 65 or 64 gigabytes. This is my new editing PC, which is a beast. It's got a Ryzen 7 5800X, which is a true monster. 64 gigabytes of RAM, and for video editing, I've got a Quadro P4000 in it. I have gone all out. This is now, for the next couple of years at least, supposed to handle everything I can throw at it. And so far it's done very well indeed. Although I did try and put a 3900X in there, and it didn't like the stress tests. The motherboard couldn't handle that load. But there you go.
September sees dreams off the page, beauty and divine, locked in this cage, withholding fire, power too strong. Blue light ignites. I know I don't belong.
How did I get my hands on a 5000 series? Would you believe that my local PC retailer is one of the kind of the largest in the country, and they're like they ordered a lot of those 5800Xs. They had no 5900Xs or 5950Xs in stock. I was originally going to buy a 5900, but yeah, just can't get one. The 5800 they had, so I bought it. And actually it seems to be better because it's got higher single clock as well as ridiculously powerful multi-core. Which for this, I'm doing this whole thing off one PC and it's not even breaking out in a sweat. On the most complicated mix we've done here, it was measuring the CPU at 15%, whereas my poor old laptop that I was using before was hitting 70 to 80% and stuttering and panicking. 32 gigabytes of shared memory. I mean, it says that. It doesn't use that. It can, but it won't. But it's nice because it has 8 gig of dedicated GPU memory. It much prefers to use that, and that works. But I guess the option's there. But yeah, Premiere. When I was doing version 1 of the Celestian video that's coming out on Wednesday, by the way, everybody tell your friends. Wednesday, 6 p.m. is going to be the grand unveiling of the finished Celestian video. Yeah. And the Intel render for that took 42 hours. The Ryzen render took 12. Big difference. You got a 10850K and you're happy? I mean, fine, okay. If that suits you, but the AMD version's better. That's why I went with it. What motherboard? I went with the Asus B550 Tough Gaming, I think it is. It's a B550 Tough Plus or something. But it's an Asus and it's half decent and it does what I need it to do. So there you go. I did consider getting an X570. I've got an X570 board at the studio, which is why I actually have this right here. This little bag here is going back to the studio with me tomorrow. This is a 3900 XT 12 core, just hanging out in a bag in my studio, like you do. That needs to go in my kit bag right now, because I'll forget otherwise. Oh, but that's going back in the studio computer tomorrow, so I can work from the studio. Okay. Right.
Emotions deny any chance to pretend.
This is sounding good. I've got vocal outro that I need a track for. I'm going to get rid of the whisper, get rid of the you will. I've got some woes to add in. Woses. So the ones labeled Brett can actually go down the list. And I have to put them in there because the foldering system's a bit weird. Woses. Yeah, and come back to them in a minute. And what do I have left? I've got chorus vocal, I've got verse vocal. Let's just flatten it out a little. bridge. So verse, yeah, I'm going to have another verse vocal because I'm going to guess that the outro vocal is probably going to warrant a treatment similar to the verse vocal, not too heavy.
100 years gone by since my blade ended your life, ended your life.
Cool. Don't miss the days of requiring a Mac for audio production. Well, I don't know how old you are, Ace Man, but I've been using PCs in audio production for 20 years now, or more. It was always a fallacy that you needed a Mac. You never did. It was just the image. It's always been an image, and it's always been a bit of a fallacy. Yes, curious as to whether I ever use VCAs. Very, very rarely. I learned about VCAs a long time ago and ended up using them in this Celestian video that's coming up Wednesday, 6 p.m. UK time. I'll keep plugging it because it's the biggest video that I've worked on in years. It's a 6-hour long video. That's how epic it is. And I used VCAs in that because for some, like, there's a clean guitar, there's a crunchy guitar, there's rock, there's metal. The rock and metal guitars, as a good example, I didn't want to use as much of the room microphones on those because it's quite uncommon for you to do that. But by the time I did that, I had 26 folders full of audio captures, one for every speaker. So I was not going to go through and change 26 lots of automation because I wanted to find a point that worked for all of them and for that to affect it all. And if I changed my mind later, I could then just change one control. And so the VCA. So the VCA, I then attached a VCA to all the room microphones and then used that as an automation point, and that worked really, really well. So yeah, that's the only real time in modern days that I've used VCAs in production, but there you go. So I've got some Wozes, the Wozes. They need to go in and they need to, ow, my ears, separate tracks, go. All right, so they just come in for the end. All right. Let's see how probably too loud these are.
Exposed your life. Have I got to medicine? Started from forever time. The pouring rain. Solitude. Could it be nothing more? What's right? Deception ring. Another way. Hold of shame to die today. Forbidden roar. A shadow breeze. A reckoning. Too much to take. Have I gone too far? This is too much to take. Have I gone too far? 100 years gone by since my blade ended your life, ended your life.
All right, let's see what we can do to get rid of some of that hiss, because that is a lot of hiss, and it's not even close. It's just a lot.
Your life, ended your life.
Okay. Let's go from the top and see how this sounds.
September sees dreams of the cage, beauty and divine, locked in this cage, withholding fire, power too strong. Blue light ignites. I know I don't belong. No goodbye, you justify the cold and hate your alibi. I always knew your jealousy, your cyanide. I trusted you to be by my side. Predict, betrayed, I always knew the game of lies I understood from you. The soul of mine surrender time, the poet's book exposed your lies. Have I gone too far? I walk to your end. Emotions denied.
Okay, I think we're there. I'm just going to make sure to clean up some of these tracks.
100 years gone by since my blade ended your life, ended your life.
There we go. So that noise there is just noise that I can hear on that piano track. Let's call it analog, call it organic. But yeah, that's another song done. And I think that is where I'm going to leave this for today because it's been over 2 hours. My head's starting to get a bit blur. We have, I think, 2 tracks left to work on that we've not touched yet. One is Reverie, which is the opening. And I think the other one is Oracle Falls Part 2. So then I'll have something for every song. Then we'll be able to start... Oh, that needs to be that long. Then we'll be able to listen back to what we have with more mixed notes from SkyeAsylum and see if there's anything that doesn't work in continuity. I'm almost certain I'll be going back to older songs now that I've got kind of slightly tweaked and revised mixed templates in terms of fixing the sub, and there's a bit less overall bus compression on some of these mixes now. And so small things that will make a big difference, I think, to the overall mix and make the mastering engineer's life easier, which means that we'll end up with an overall better album. So yeah, that's where we've got up to today, and I'm going to be sending those over for review very shortly. So thank you all for joining me. The text on the screen said part 8 all day. What a derp, because now that's going to confuse anyone who watches it. Sorry about that. But the next one is part 10. And yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. Hopefully I'm going to find time to finish this probably Friday this week. And so we'll get the rest of this album finished, or at least at a point where it could be finished. And then we go down the inevitable spiral of going over and over and over. But we won't. We'll get the mixed notes. We'll make sure it's right. Then we'll look at it back to back, make a set of notes, make those changes, then listen to it back to back. And that should be, unless anything really critical pops up at that juncture, a job done. So thank you everybody for watching. It's been good fun. And I will see you all next time. Tune in for the Celestian video Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Be there or be square. Then we've got the podcast on Thursday, then more of this on Friday. So I'm going to be busy. See y'all later, everybody.
Hey everyone, that might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server. Link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Hop Hole Studios. See you there.